In a bustling village at the edge of a great desert, there lived a poor woodcutter named Ali Baba. He was kind-hearted and hard-working, but he struggled to make ends meet. Each day, he would go deep into the forest to cut wood, bringing back only enough to sell for a modest living. Ali Baba lived with his wife in a small, humble house, while his wealthier brother, Qasim, lived in a grand mansion in the heart of the village. Qasim often mocked Ali Baba for his poverty, telling him that only greed and ambition could lead to success. One day, while Ali Baba was chopping wood in the forest, he saw a large group of men riding on horseback. They wore strange, colorful robes and carried heavy sacks. As the men approached a rocky cave in the hills, Ali Baba hid behind a tree, watching with curiosity. To his amazement, the leader of the group stood before a large stone door in the mountain and said, "Open, sesame!" Ali Baba's eyes widened as the stone door slowly opened to reveal a hidden cave filled with piles of gold, jewels, and priceless treasures. The men entered, and the door closed behind them. Ali Baba waited, breathless, until the men had disappeared into the cave. When the coast was clear, Ali Baba cautiously approached the stone door. Remembering the magic words he had heard, he whispered, "Open, sesame!" To his surprise, the door creaked open. With his heart racing, Ali Baba stepped inside. The cave was filled with unimaginable wealth, piles of gold coins, sparkling jewels, and chests full of precious artifacts. It was a pirate's hoard, a king's ransom. For a moment, Ali Baba was overcome with awe. He had never seen so much wealth in his life. He quickly filled his bag with as much treasure as he could carry, but before leaving, he remembered the warning from the village elders: greed will bring ruin. So, Ali Baba decided to take only a small amount, just enough to feed his family for the year. He whispered the words, "Close, sesame," and the door shut behind him as he hurried back home. Back at his humble home, Ali Baba shared the treasure with his wife, who was astonished. The money allowed them to live comfortably for months. But soon, word spread about Ali Baba's sudden wealth, and his brother Qasim became suspicious. Qasim, always envious and driven by greed, visited Ali Baba and demanded to know how he had become so wealthy. Ali Baba hesitated, but eventually, unable to keep the secret any longer, he told Qasim about the hidden cave and the magic words. Qasim was overjoyed. "You fool!" he shouted. "You found a fortune. Why did you take so little? We could have everything." Determined to get more, Qasim set off to the cave the very next day. With the magic words in his mind, he reached the stone door and said, "Open, sesame." The door swung open, and Qasim hurried inside. His eyes gleamed as he looked at the piles of treasure before him. He filled several large sacks, planning to carry away as much as he could. But in his greed, Qasim lost track of time. As he tried to leave, he realized he had forgotten the magic words. Panicked, he repeated, "Open, sesame!" But the door did not budge. He shouted the words again, but it was no use. Qasim was trapped inside. That night, the group of thieves returned to the cave, only to find Qasim struggling to escape. The leader of the thieves was furious and ordered his men to capture him. Qasim was bound and brought before the leader, who sneered at him. "So you were the one who took our treasure," the leader said. "You should have known better than to steal from us." The thieves were about to punish Qasim when they heard a noise from the outside. It was Ali Baba, searching for his brother. When Ali Baba arrived at the cave, he was horrified to see Qasim being held captive. He immediately realized that he had to rescue his brother without alerting the thieves to his presence. Ali Baba quickly devised a plan. He ran to a nearby village and gathered a group of oil merchants who were traveling through the area. He gave them large barrels of oil and instructed them to hide inside. Then, he returned to the cave, where the thieves were still watching over Qasim. Ali Baba approached the cave cautiously and called out, "I have oil for your lamps. It's been a long journey, and I'm sure you'd like a rest." The leader of the thieves, thinking it was just another merchant, ordered his men to let Ali Baba in. As the oil barrels were brought inside, Ali Baba quickly signaled to the merchants to jump out and surround the thieves. The merchants, strong and armed with their staffs, captured the bandits before they could react. With the thieves taken prisoner, Ali Baba freed his brother Qasim. Although Qasim was ashamed of his greed, he was thankful to be alive. The thieves were handed over to the local authorities, and their treasure was returned to the people.